So we continue in our first reading today, the story about the life of David. He came back after defeating Goliath, and he was entering the towns ahead of King Saul. And the people there were singing, "Saul has killed his thousands, and David his 10,000s." And when King Saul heard that, he felt envy. And you could see King Saul, the insecurity of King Saul here. You see how his security, his identity is not secure. He's finding his identity in the praises of other people. That's why he couldn't accept that David is receiving more praises. What should have King Saul did when they were entering towns? David should be beside him, entering the towns. And when he heard these praises of the people, he should also be happy for David. Because the victory of David is also his victory. You see, there's envy. And when you let sin fester in your heart, it will grow. And you would commit a more grievous sin. And there he says, so Saul eyed to kill David from that day on. Jonathan, the son of King Saul, would intervene. He said, "What are you doing, father? David risked his life to fight this Philistine, and God gave him victory. And yet, you would repay good with evil?" So King Saul repented and said, "As the Lord lives, he shall not be put to death." Was King Saul faithful to his promise? No. In tomorrow's reading, it says there, Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel and went to look for David and his men. And when he went to a cave to relieve himself, the soldiers of King David said, "This is your opportunity to take your revenge." In Proverbs 24, verse 17, it says, "Do not rejoice when your enemies fall, and do not let your hearts be glad when they stumble." What do we do whenever we see our enemy make a mistake? Do we grab that opportunity to criticize that person? For me, I fall to that temptation also. Here, what did David do? He says there, "The Lord forbid that I should do this thing to my Lord, that the Lord's anointed, to raise my hand against him, for he is the Lord's anointed." So what he did is that he just cut a corner of Saul's cloak. He didn't take Saul's life. You see here, the heart of David. That's why God says, "This is a man after my own heart." And he follows, the commandments of the Lord. What's the commandment of the Lord with regards to our enemies? In Luke chapter 6, it says there, "But I say to you, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who abuse you." When they met, King Saul and David spoke to King Saul, "See, my father, see the corner of your cloak in my hand. For by the fact that I cut off the corner of your cloak and did not kill you, you may know for certain that there's no wrong for treason in my hands. I have not sinned against you, though you are hunting me to take my life." King Saul was so affected by his conscience, right? Because here you see how David was repaying evil with good. Saul lifted up his voice and wept. He said to David, "You are more righteous than I, for you have repaid me good, whereas I have repaid you evil." I hope when we're reading scriptures, we should identify ourselves with the characters in the scripture, right? Are we like Saul? Are we like David? The commandment of the Lord to love our enemies, to repay evil with good. Proverbs 25, it says there, "If your enemies are hungry, give them bread to eat. And if they are thirsty, give them water to drink. For you will heap coals of fire on their heads. and the Lord will reward you.